In his book, Ego is the Enemy, Ryan Holiday goes over how ego is a destructive trait that impedes our growth and destroys our relationships with others. He said that it is an enemy, not a friend. It is the ego that gives us wounds and hurt us. It is the ego that makes us violent, angry, jealous, and competitive. It is the ego that is continuously comparing and feeling miserable. And what he said and explains in the book is very true. Ego is destructive and toxic, but it's not always a bad thing to have. Just as Paul Arden said, great people have great egos. Maybe that's what makes them great. One study found that healthy doses of ego directly feed into our willpower, which means it might help us stick to a diet or focus on a major project, for example. An ego can also help you stay resilient when things go wrong. According to Ayn Rand and Henry Sidgwick, when deployed properly, an ego can also help us grow. And it is a necessary quality for great leaders, as history showed us. People like Napoleon Bonaparte, Julius Caesar, and Benito Mussolini are all huge examples of people with big egos, and that in some way helped make them who they are. And in modern day standards of success, Conor McGregor, Cristiano Ronaldo, Rihanna, Kanye West, or literally every rapper alive are also real-life examples of ego being useful, as their mindsets of being the best or being extremely self-centered is a huge motivator in their careers. Aside from being arrogant or selfish, ego clearly has good benefits that drive people to success. For example, when Ronaldo was beaten in a ping pong match by his former teammate Rio Ferdinand, he got upset and bought a table at home and practiced a lot until he won against him. This shows his extraordinary competitiveness and a high level of egoism. Now to the question, is ego an enemy or not? Well, the answer is not yes or no. It falls somewhere between those two ends, as it depends on our understanding and usage of it. Think about it as an inner monster inside all of us, a natural beast within that can consume us and take control of us, leading to bad results and a loss of ourselves. But you can also understand it and make it your ally, using it and together rising above while not going through a dark path of self-absorption. And that idea of using ego and embracing it as an important weapon instead of the common belief that it is only a bad thing is the core message of the manga Blue Lock. Unlike every sports manga out there that idealizes the idea of teamwork and friendship, Blue Lock starts off with throwing all of that to the side, as Jinpachi Ego in the very first chapter explains to the characters the importance of ego and selfishness for a player. A very odd and exotic idea that we don't hear anywhere else, but one that also makes sense, and sooner you become convinced of it. Blue Lock is a project that aims to bring out the very best striker in Japan by taking the most talented teenagers from all over the country and putting them through this battle royale of training and competitive matches that force them to survive. As the tasks become harder, the trials more challenging, and the number of people decreasing. Blue Lock is brilliant at proving that great players are the ones that want to score the goal for themselves, the ones that want all the praise. And it proves it with logical reasoning of how we humans function, real life examples, and proves that time and time again in its narrative, as the characters truly start to become better and discover new sides of themselves and grow from them after they start to believe in the idea of ego, Not talent, not hard work, but both and more as long as it's about you. Now, someone might say that this is a toxic theme or an ideology that is dangerous to spread, especially for a shonen manga. And that is true, but Blue Lock help balance that with the humanity of its characters. They are not ignorant to the level of becoming arrogant immediately. They only incorporate this in the field. After all, we are talking about 300 strikers who play the same position and with the same purpose. The huge cast of characters help showcase different types of people and their ideologies that collide, help show us, the readers, the healthy doses of ego and how to use it. Take for example Baro, who is so self-centered that he calls himself a king. Everyone else is just trash around him. Baro is a great player, but he is so selfish that he will not pass the ball to you no matter what. Hell, he will even steal the ball from his teammates to score for himself. But that soon makes him struggle as he gets neglected by his teammates and spends most of the match just standing there and not accomplishing anything. He even ends up being used as bait by others around him, so he instead learns how to cope with his ego and to rely on others even though it's hard for him. People like Kira stand against the mentality of ego and try to prove that the team is the superior thing to rely on and that football is not an individual sport. But in the environment of Blue Lock, he doesn't survive with this flimsy mentality and gets crushed along with his ideology. Nice and empathetic people suffer, and extremely arrogant ones also suffer. The balance is found in the actual best of the best. For example, Isagi, Rin, and Nagi, who are egoists that want to be the best alone, while also understanding that football relies on teammates, and by cooperating with others and doing the necessary, they help bring out the best out of themselves. The characters are the drive of the story. How they change the people around them is the author's way of communicating his themes to us, and Ego's way of implementing them into the players and making them better. Players learn to stand for themselves. Others deceive in order to win. Some are abandoned by their friends because their friends see a better chance of development with someone else, which makes them in turn become better and reach those heights as well. And instead of becoming enemies, a healthy rivalry appears, driving both of them to get better. People learn from others, use them, and together they all become better. And with the risk of falling and leaving, they are always inspired and motivated to push themselves and others, experiencing failures and victories and learning from them in order to grow. Ego can be an enemy if we let it, but it won't consume us if we understand its dangers and stay humble and not change, which is the role of Blue Lock's protagonist. Isagi is a nice person at heart. He is at all times surrounded by good people because he naturally attracts them. He breaks through the shells of the cold ones, and he never changes as a person as the story continues. At the same time, he will make use of you for himself in a game once he sees fit. He will play with you but abandon you once you are useless. He only sees himself becoming the best in the world. He is the healthy example of ego that we can learn from, much like the actual best players in the world. Ronaldo, Messi, LeBron, and others like them. Anyone who wants to stand out and become better at what they do need a certain amount of ego by their side. And I personally relate to that in a lot of aspects of my life. as a student, an athlete, and even as a YouTuber making this very video that you are watching. I try to make it better, different, and constantly trying to improve my ability of making them. My desire to be one of the best at making videos and having a bigger and more popular channel is a motivator. Although not the main reason, the fact that just 20 or more people are taking the time to hear my thoughts and ideas is more than enough. But I'm not settling for only that. And that is a good example of healthy ego. That is Blue Lock's concept applied to real life. Comparison is a bad thing, unless it's with your past self or in an objective lens in order to get better, but that is not the same thing for competition. Competition is necessary. It is eye-opening, motivating, and challenging. And no one can compete in anything if they are not an egoist. Even if other mangas shy away from confronting this and stick to the as a team approach, Blue Lock directly screams at us with this message. And that already makes it different, as it stands against the dreamlike beliefs of shonen series. I highly recommend you read it if you haven't, or just patiently wait for the anime that is coming soon. Either way, don't forget to subscribe if you like this video and want to see more like it in the future. Have a blessed rest of the day, drink a lot of water, and as always, many thanks for watching.